Hi everyone, and welcome to OK Seriously with Natasha, a show specifically created to be an open platform where anything goes. I am your host, Natasha Jameson. This is my passion, and I hope that I inspire you to live your own. We have an exciting show for you today as I welcome my special guest, creator and founder of Health SHEro, Charlotte Caunter. She is a transformative burnout specialist, speaker, author, a mom of two, and a cancer survivor. She is here to share her remarkable story about how being in a high-stress profession caused her to ignore all warning signs from her body, resulting in personal and professional burnout. Charlotte will be discussing and speaking candidly about her cancer diagnosis at 32 and how through her specialized coaching, she is able to help others manage their stress and avoid burnout. From cancer survivor to Health SHEro thriver. Welcome to the show, Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. This has been a long time coming. We've manifested it finally.
We manifested it.
We did.
Yeah.
We sure did. So I am really excited to speak with you because I find you like an incredible woman. You really are a SHEro, a superhero to me. So as you know, every journey, Charlotte, has a turning point where life as we know it no longer is the same. Mm-hmm. How did this journey begin to unravel for you?
Yeah, so over 11 years ago now, I was working in the mental health field. So I was working in mental health inpatient units for kids and adolescents, youth shelters, school board, and I was working like crazy, like go, anywhere from like 50 hours to even like, I remember one time it was like 89 hours a week. Wow. And when I wasn't working, I was also go in my personal life. So I was playing like all kinds of competitive sports or working out like crazy. And I was constantly hitting a wall and burning out. And I would peel myself off the floor and then keep going, go. And it hit a wall, and this wall kept getting bigger and louder until eventually I was diagnosed with cancer at 32, so 11 years ago
I
now.
cannot believe that is from a person that never stops, that always, hits the ground running, that is very ambitious and dedicated with a full plate.
Yeah.
Boom. This is what happens.
And I was fit and healthy. I'm like, this doesn't happen to fit and healthy people.
Oh, but it does. Now you know.
Now I know. Yeah.
In the midst of all this, Les, the daily stressors, as you're speaking of, like where we just don't give ourselves that self-care and the love that we deserve and the rest.
Yeah.
What were the obvious warning signs your body was giving you that you were not seeing?
Oh, man.
And I'm sure now, looking back, tons, right?
Yes. I could tell you, like, physically and emotionally, there were so many signs that I was ignoring. So emotionally, I was in a relationship for 7 years, and I decided to walk away. We tried for 2 years to have children and unsuccessful. And then I went into, and I didn't feel loved. Looking back, I didn't love myself, fully at the time as well. But I jumped into another relationship, and then boom, I got pregnant right away.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And, people are like, oh, is this, is the baby
same one?
His father? And I'm like, no, it's this man. They're like, who? I'm like, I know. And like the guilt, the shame, carrying that. And then when I was 14 weeks pregnant, I ended up losing the baby. And then I was like so devastated. Something that I didn't even want the baby, but after losing it, I was like, oh my gosh, did my thoughts cause that? Did my emotions cause that?
You blame yourself. You totally blame yourself.
And I was like stuck in that. And again, like this is when I was still playing tons of sports. I was still, working like crazy as well. And I was getting sick, like losing like laryngitis. I remember at one point I was so exhausted and my nails were peeling like horizontal. And I went to my family doctor and I was like, I'm so tired. My nails are peeling. What should I do? She's like, Charlotte, go home and get some rest and put some nail hardener on. Yeah. I was like, that's
really?
it?
That's
all you got? Yeah. Like, how about can you check my iron levels? Yeah, like anything, And
I need lab results. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So emotionally, I didn't want to deal with anything, and I was throwing myself into work, throwing myself into the gym, into sports, playing, and I didn't want to feel anything.
I didn't want to feel
anything. No. So here I was, 31 years old. And again, like that wall that I was hitting every time I burnt out just kept getting louder. And I remember I broke a finger playing basketball. I broke a finger playing volleyball. And in baseball, I remember in the summer, I tried to make a hero play and I stretched out too far and the ball took a bad bounce and broke my eye. my orbital floor. So I needed surgery for that. And during that injury, I had to lay flat on my back for a month and not move. And I still went out and worked. I remember the doctor saying, like, do you want to lose your eye? And I'm like, well, no,
Oh
I don't want to lose my eye. He's like, well, then go home, lay flat on my
rest.
back and don't move. And I remember just laying there going, oh my goodness, this is torture. This is
I
torture.
bet.
Because everything that I was running from, like, I had to feel, like, everything was like pouring over me. And I remember I was on my laptop and something came up with like breast, like self-examinations. I'm like, I never do self-examinations. And I'm like, okay, let me try. And I tried and I fully found a lump. And I was like, nah, this can't, I'm 32 years old. I had abs at the time, and I was like, I have abs. There's no way that this is cancer. I'm like, forget it. It's probably just, a cyst or something and I'll be fine. So I didn't even get that checked out until 6 months later.
Wow. So denial.
Full on denial.
I can handle this. This is not not something that happens to someone like me.
No.
Oh, this is, it's going to heal.
Yes.
But I feel like the universe kind of slowed you down to be able to have the time to, do the breast exam, to be able to discover something that was very life-threatening for you, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, big time.
So share with us the moment that you were diagnosed with cancer. I can't even imagine. And I know our viewers, there's a lot of people that are like, recently diagnosed. Recovery, there's everyone from every, spectrum of the world. What is the most difficult thing you had to face, like, instantly?
Yeah.
Was it the slowing down? Was it that you had to stop and take care of you?
Yeah. So from the eye injury, so for 6 months later, I was just trying to get my vision back into that eye so I could run back and play sports again, and going back into that exact same pattern. And then I remember going to my hairdresser at the time, who had been diagnosed, I think 2 years prior with breast cancer. And she's like, what? You have a lump and you haven't been to the doctor? Like, basically get your ass in the car and like, let's go. And I remember going to the doctors and it was, let's do an ultrasound, and they're like, oh, this doesn't look good. Let's do a mammogram. Ooh, this doesn't look good. Okay, let's go schedule a biopsy.
Oh my God.
And I remember telling my family, I'm like, no, everything's positive. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's fine. This is positive. I'm positive thinking. I'm attracting the light.
That's
like,
right.
Everything's good.
You're in alignment.
I'm in alignment, And I remember, asking my family to come to Princess Margaret because they did it's called a fast track clinic. So you go in the morning, you do a biopsy, and in the afternoon they tell you. And I remember going into the biopsy and I'm like, no, everything's good. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. Everything's going to be fine. And I remember going into the biopsy and I'm holding in my emotions. Like, I'm trying so hard not to cry. And the lady there, the tech, and the biopsy is like a little tube. And they go in and they take a chunk of your skin.
It's not
like,
nice.
No.
I used to work at Princess Margaret. It's not pretty.
No, it's painful.
Yes,
They freeze it, but it like freeze what? I don't know, because you feel it.
Right.
And I remember like she did it and I was like, ooh. And I'm like, you're not going to break me. You're not going to break me. I'm not going to cry. And I remember like sitting up so quickly. And she grabbed me by the shoulder and she like pushed me down. And she was like, stay down and respect your body. Even though if you don't feel like it's been through a lot, stay down, respect your body and honor your body. And then, my first reaction was anger, like, okay, listen, cow, I don't think so. But then I was like,
touch me.
Yes, but then I was like, okay, let me just sit here and think with this. And as I sat there, it was like all these flashes of my life was kind of passing, like, playing basketball with a broken finger, or like, tearing my knee playing basketball, or broken finger playing volleyball. Anyways, like all these times I was pushing myself, injured, going to work when I was sick. I'm like, I've never respected my body. In fact, I would get angry at my body if I was sick, if it wasn't, if it wasn't.
Optimal.
Yes,
Optimal.
exactly. I'm like, come on, keep up, body. Like, let's do this. And I was like, holy, like I've never respected my body. And I remember taking that in. And in the afternoon, I remember walking in to get the news, and the nurse just sat there, and she's like, well, I was sitting there with my mom, and she's like, well, we were hoping for better results, but it is cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like,
boom.
It was like what you see in the movies,
Planets
when it goes
collide,
like, you don't hear anything.
Nothing.
I was like, oh, there's a crack in the wall. Like, oh, there's a spider web. Do they know there's a spider web? And then I was like, no. Like, I kind of recognized that I was almost going into shock, and then I was like, let me listen.
You jolted right back.
Yes.
You tried to.
Yes, tried to, yeah. And the woman was like, okay, so are you going to, do a lumpectomy, remove part of your breast, or a mastectomy like next week? And I was like, can you please give me a minute? Like, I just need to take in what you just said. And I remember turning to my mom and I was like, okay, Mom, just go out. Like, I can't face the family right now. Like, you need to go out and tell everybody that, this is what it is, because I can't see their reaction right now. Yeah. And she went out and told them, and I just remember like sitting there like, okay, I can get through this. And I remember when I left the hospital, they give you like tons of books. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to look at anything. Don't even say cancer. Yeah. I was still so far in denial.
Oh but
I remember getting in the car and leaving Princess Margaret. And I remember looking at the a bus shelter, and there was two women just like laughing, and I remember it was like everything was slow motion, and I was so like involved looking at these two women, and I was like, that is the most beautiful, friggin' thing that I've ever seen. Like just genuine happiness, laughing. And then, somebody was like, no, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. And I was like, oh, the kindness. But I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but in the moment,
not actually.
I was like, I was so present to those little moments of kindness that I was so busy running.
Flash.
Yes. Yeah. Running from sadness, anger, shame, grief, whatever. Yeah. But I was also running from joy. Like if you can't experience joy, if you're not experiencing sadness or grief Absolutely. Or shame, you've got to experience all emotions.
You do. Now, I want to ask you about that because you said, I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to see, I just blocked it out.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Like, what was the lead up to that?
Like, where did
that... Because that says, like, that tells us about your mindset at the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny? Like, I remember at 4 years old, I remember playing soccer, and I remember it was, co-ed, and I remember this boy coming, and he like slide tackled and hit me, and I went down, and I remember crying, and I could hear my dad on the sideline going like, get up, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like hobbling and running. So I've always had this kind of like suck it up attitude, but
brush it off,
but also I went through lots of childhood sexual abuse from babysitter, single mom, growing up. And I don't think it's a coincidence that I never really dealt with any of that. And then the cancer manifested it into a sexual organ as well.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of healing. So although cancer happened, it really was my ugly miracle to kind of turn inwards and be like, okay, what are we not feeling? The only way to heal is through those emotions. So it's time to sit with it.
Once you feel it, you heal it.
Once
you feel it, you heal it.
Yes.
In what way did this experience become a teacher for you? Life is the biggest teacher.
Oh, man.
So going through all of these, like, sexual abuse and, being diagnosed with cancer and burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
What was like all of that, the aha moment and all of that?
I think I was so busy trying to get to the next job, trying to get to the next, make more money. Like I grew up, in Scarborough, single mom, not a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of food even growing up. So I was always like hustling, always trying to make the dollar, make the money, get the house, like do whatever. And I was so busy trying to get to the next step that I was never truly present in the present moment. I was never really seeing like the beauty in relationships, laughing with, with
like
people.
Those two ladies that were so gracious to each other, smiling and laughing.
There was so many lessons, but I think the biggest lesson is just truly being and not doing. I think another big one was asking for help.
That's a huge one, especially for somebody like you.
Dependent women. It's like, I got it. No, it's okay.
Right.
But asking for help is a 3-step system, and I never saw that before. It was like asking for help. And then when the time came, truly accepting the help, and then accepting the help without feeling guilty about it as well, because whoever shows up to help you, you're also allowing them to fulfill their purpose.
It's a full circle moment.
It's a full circle moment. Yeah.
So how did you align with your path in specializing in burnout and stress management? Was this kind of like all of these things that kind of came together? Was this the point where you decided you needed to help people on a grander scale?
Yeah, well, I'd like to say like once I, when I was going through all of that, my girlfriend who was my best friend, she was like a sister from another mister, Tisha, she was diagnosed with spinal cord cancer 3 months into my diagnosis. So, it was a blessing because we got to lay in bed together. We got to go to some treatment together, but she ended up passing away 2.5 years later. And that was like the saddest I've ever been.
That's hard.
But I felt like, okay, like, I survived for a reason, and I didn't want to take advantage of this, the second chance at life. Mm-hmm. So I ended up leaving my career in mental health. And then I went down to the States in Atlanta and became a certified health and nutrition consultant and a raw food chef. And I just wanted to dive deeper into my own healing, so I never had to go through this again. And when I came home, I just started making small changes to my diet, to my lifestyle, and I was blown away with the results. Like, I met somebody, we ended up getting married, and during that time, and I had a lymphedema. They told me I have to be so careful with this arm because they removed a couple of lymph nodes. So if you slip and fall and you land on this arm, it will blow up, and you will have that for the rest of your life. And I remember in an ice storm, I slipped and fell, landed on the arm, and it blew up. And I called like world-renowned, cancer hospital. And I was like, what do I do? They're like, we're really sorry. There's nothing we can do for you. I'm like,
don't tell me that. So. Don't tell me that.
Yeah, I don't
want to hear
so.
that.
So all I did was focus on like detoxing, like just, mentally calming myself down and using different techniques and flooding my body with as many nutrients as I can get in. And within 5 days, not only did I stop the damage, I completely reversed the damage in my arm. And I thought, man, if I could do this with my arm, like what else can I do with my body? Yeah. And they told me I would never have kids naturally after going through cancer. And I was able to pop out my 2 little monkeys naturally.
Her son meditates.
Yeah, he does.
Her son meditates. I love this kid. Like, I just can't even... Just pictures of him in total meditation.
They would see me meditating when they were young, and they'd be like, "Wake up, Mama!" I'm like, "I'm not sleeping. I'm meditating."
I'm more awake than I ever was.
Yeah.
I think it's so great that you're talking about like diet, nutrition, wellness, because that is my next question. Because it's so important to understand self-care, nutrition, and how it's all rooted in mental health, and stress factors and overall wellness. So can you help us understand a little bit more, like why it's so important, like especially now?
Yes.
Like right now we're living through a pandemic is so important. Please,
yes.
Like, the viewers really want to know about this.
Yeah. So coming from a mental health background, we never talked about gut health. We never even talked about like diet at all. Neither, did we talk about diet even going through cancer treatment. But our gut health is absolutely crucial for our overall health. This is where our immune system, like 70% of our immune system is in our gut. Mm-hmm. This is where we absorb our nutrients, like through our intestinal wall. Right. And this is where that serotonin, that feel-good hormone, is also produced. So if we're super stressed out, the first system that shuts down is our digestive system. Because we can't tell the difference if we're getting to an argument with somebody, if we forget our mask, or if we're running from T-Rex.
That's
it's
right.
Like our body reacts the same
Full
way.
blown.
Yeah, we're
100%.
dying. I need to shut this down.
Exactly.
And it makes sense
because
if
survival.
If we're running for survival, we don't need to be like eating a salad or eating a burger. It's like, no, operation, conserve energy, shut that energy down, throw it into, our adrenaline so we can go into that fight or flight. So we want to eat food that's very easy to digest, so eating food that we can easily digest, absorb those nutrients is so, so important. And then also we want to make sure that we're calming our central nervous system, because our stomach is like our second brain. So things like, like meditation is just
mind,
so,
body, spirit.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Don't
I know
say
it's coming. Okay, say it.
Journaling.
Okay, Charlotte. I don't know. I have like problems with journaling. I can't journal. I don't know why. I am a talker. I communicate with people.
Yeah.
I need to let it out. I can swear in 2 different languages. Writing? I don't know. We have to talk.
We have to talk. No, but meditation isn't easy too. Like,
no.
The first time they did it, I was like, that was like the biggest waste of time I've ever. I know how many things I could have done in 10 minutes. Like you just killed my time. You took it away from me. I'll never get that back.
Ask your son.
Ask my son. But now
what is he, 5 now?
No, he's 5. Sorry, I was like, no, he's not. Yes, he is. My kid's better than me.
It's okay.
Yeah, 5 years old. Yeah. But no, meditation is just so good.
It's very important.
And it's work. It does take
5 minutes, 2 minutes. It's okay.
It's
okay.
Right?
Just take time for yourself.
Even just breathing. Yeah. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4.
It makes the biggest difference. It literally changes like your whole physiology within your body.
Yeah.
So my intention is always to be of service to my viewers on this platform and to offer immediate help and assistance.
Yeah.
What can someone watching right now today do to help kind of decrease the stress or anxiety or whatever they're going through? So we gave some meditation techniques and tips which are all over YouTube.
Yes.
You can breathe. There's some essential things that they can do like immediately that's very easy for them to start. We want them to start.
Yes. So in terms of meditation, you said YouTube, which is fantastic. There's some great apps out there like Insight Timer or Calm app, and they can pick like self-care, self-love, anti-anxiety, anti-depression, sleeping. They can do that, but also journaling.
Okay.
It's so good. Because, and again, I know it's not easy because it's like Dear Diary. It's like, no, not Dear Diary. How about even just writing down, like grabbing a journal and writing down things that you're grateful for. And a lot of people are like, just write 3 things. Like, listen, if I'm having a bad day, 3 things is not going to cut it. Like, I'm still going to have
thank you for my coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. It could be, right? Couldn't it?
It could be, but
you're having a
I
bad
say
one?
keep going until you genuinely smile.
That's true.
Because when you genuinely smile, now you've shifted your energy. Now you're raising your levels of consciousness to a place of stepping into your power, So that's how you heal, when you're feeling
higher
good.
vibration.
Yes. And if you really need help, if you're feeling overwhelmed, like reach out for help.
That's a hard one for people. to reach out.
It is.
Because it's putting themselves in a very vulnerable state, but that's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But that's a hard,
Yeah.
I know.
No, I know.
This, I can do it all.
No, but I can.
But now you're totally,
Yes.
you totally turned the table, so it is doable.
No, it's so doable.
You become the voice of something that's very doable for people that are even...
Reach out to somebody who's resonating with you.
Absolutely.
Who you resonate with, and reach out and get that help.
Doesn't have to be even professional. A friend, a colleague, anything. You know what I mean? Or maybe a relative. Yeah. Just someone that can maybe like kind of become a mirror, but like just listener sometimes.
Let you know that
you're
not alone. You're not alone. Right? You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
How can our emotions hinder us from growth, personal development, healing?
Yes.
That's an important one too. Because you were saying how like you did not want to feel.
No.
And then all of these, like the ripple effect of that, started.
Yes. Yeah, so we're talking about levels of consciousness,
Absolutely.
right, of vibration. So the lowest levels of vibrational energy in terms of emotions is like fear, anger, sadness, grief, shame. So if our home base majority of the time is in any of those emotions, we cannot heal our body in that environment.
Right.
We cannot attract a life of abundance in that environment or any of our dreams. It's very difficult because we're going through life and trying to force things to happen.
Right.
It is exhausting. It is draining. But and this is where that doing piece comes in. It's like, I just got to try harder. It's like a fly going out the window. There's two windows, right? Yeah. One's open, one's closed, and the fly's I just got to go harder. And it's like, no, man, pull back and go out the window that's open.
That's right.
And that's where alignment comes in. And this is where like gratitude, meditation, journaling, asking for help. I mean, I've had a personal coach for the last 11 years. Wow. Business coach, spiritual coach, like
it just helps you get there faster.
It's like going on an express train, right? Yes. Yeah, no, for sure.
So your philosophy is the health management and overall wellness is healthy tantrums. I feel like I need one.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell our viewers what that is and how we can all be a part of this? A healthy tantrum, like a 2-year-old.
Yes. It's funny. This didn't really come to me until I had children. Because you always hear about like the inner child and things like that, right? But I remember like the first time I had, I grew up old school. So I used to get hit. There was no talking. There was no communicating. No. You got hit and that was the end of it. But I remember the first time my daughter, we were going into the grocery store and they're evil geniuses, right? Because they put all the cute fuzzy little toys right beside the checkout, right? And of course my daughter's like, can I have one? I'm like, we're here for groceries. Like, no, we can't have one. And she said, but I want one. I understand, thanks for telling me, but we're not getting one. We're here for groceries, let's move on kind of thing. And she's like, and you can see it's starting. She's feeling the sadness, feeling the sense of injustice, and she's like, no. She's like, I want, and then she's yelling and screaming, and she's moving her fists, like she's feeling it physically, and then she's getting it out verbally and physically. And then if she was brave, she would drop to the ground, and I'm like, are you finished? And people are like, you should be embarrassed. I'm like, no, she should be embarrassed. Not me.
I love that. It's all on her.
But she would get that, and then she would get it up, and then she'd still be sitting there like, and then she'd be like 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, she's like, okay, mama, what's for dinner? And I'm like, whoa,
what happened?
Give me a second to catch up to the craziness that just went down. But what was beautiful about that, experience was that she felt it, and she got it out at the same level. And then what do we do as adults, right? Somebody cuts us off, something, unfair happens at work or personally, or we don't get what we wanted, and then we're like, it's okay. It's okay. I got this. It's gonna work out. It's fine. But it's like walking around with like a big old like rock in your shoe. It's like, are you fine?
No,
walking
around like, all the way, but I'm okay. I'm gonna walk it off. I'm gonna walk it off.
Yes, admit that there's a rock in your shoe.
Yes,
get it out. Feel it. Yeah. So it's so important to get that energy out. Admit that you're feeling sad, a sense of injustice, fear, whatever it is, shame, guilt, and then get it out. Either like scribbling, hitting a pillow. My favorite is putting ice in a grocery bag and then like smashing the reusable grocery bag, outside, because you like hear it kind of breaking and stuff. But you're doing it in a safe way.
Of course.
Otherwise, we bottle all this energy up, and then it comes out like in short, like
toxic.
Toxic in the wrong people and the wrong, directed at the wrong people. Usually, the people that we love, right?
Always. Because you bleed on those the most that you love the most, right?
Yes.
So what are the essential tips you can share with us that are important that we can implement today? We talked about a few.
Yes.
But is there some other strategies? Like, should we, detox? Should we go for a walk? Should we, you know what I mean? Like, go and see somebody special that can help us, like somebody like a coach or a consultant or a therapist.
Yes. So I use like a 5-step approach, like in my practice. So I really use a holistic approach. So we talked about self-care.
Yes.
We even talked about healing diet.
Yes.
But I always think like healing environment is so important. Yes. But I think, the biggest thing I think is recognizing how am I feeling? And our number one job in life is to feel good. So if we are not feeling, it's like, what can I do to shift my energy? Can I watch a comedy?
Yes.
Can I spend some time in nature? Can I play a sport? Can I move my body?
Yes.
So what can you do to feel good again?
I think those are really, really doable and really very important.
Yeah.
Laughter can be medicine. Exercise is like a happy pill for me. I train Muay Thai. I mean, it's just amazing. Journaling, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep it not a Dear John letter. I'm just gonna to the point.
It.
I'm angry.
That's good. I stubbed my toe, like that tingle came out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, get it out.
Yeah, exactly. So you've seen my show before, so you know what my last question is. My viewers love it, so I'm asking it.
Yes.
What is the takeaway for our viewers today?
So I think the biggest takeaway is your number one feeling or your number one job in life is to feel good.
Feel good.
Feel good. So if you don't feel good, spend time processing. What
Like
am I
why?
feeling? Yes. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way right now? And really take time to get to that root cause. Mm-hmm. And you might be writing in your, journal, this just happened. I can't believe this mother, just said this to me. And, and then as you're writing and you're like, and that cow tripped me in grade 4 and you're like, whoa,
where'd that come from?
But just take time to connect with yourself. And this requires you to create quiet time with yourself. So maybe put on some meditation music. You have, some music in the background. Maybe light a candle, really set the time, set the environment for yourself to process your emotions. So don't run from the emotions. Have the courage to turn around, face it, feel it, release it in a healthy way. And this is something you've got to practice throughout.
Yes.
Even after cancer, I felt zenned out, and then I had kids, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
And then COVID hit, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But it's still the same thing over and over again.
You must feel it to heal it.
Yeah.
And on that note, that is all the time that we have for today. Charlotte, thank you so much for being a part of our show and sharing your incredible story and your life-changing work.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
So grateful.
Yes, grateful too. That's all the time. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next time.